Hey, I'm Russ,
And I'm Kevin.
and we're with D6 Mafia, and today we're going to be talking about Theros, which has just come out. And we're going to be going over the white cards today.
Yeah, and what we're going to do here is we sort of played with the idea of top 10 lists or whatever, and we just decided we are in no way qualified to talk about what's going to make it to Pro Tours or whatever. So we're just going to go through the list and talk about our favorite stuff, our highlights of the set, what we like flavorfully, what we like mechanically, and, I'm just going to enjoy ourselves here.
Yeah. So let's get into it. So this is sort of our highlights of Theros, and we're starting with white. So I think the first thing we got here on our list is the Cavalry Pegasus.
Actually this is one of my favorite commons in, well, at least the color. Maybe it's just because I like human weenie decks or whatever, but I don't know, it's just a really solid, alpha strike. Give all your humans attacking humans flying. I mean, what do you think of that?
That's really good for 2 mana. I mean, what else do you want? 2 for a 1/1 flyer is standard.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think that could be really brutal and limited too.
Yeah.
There's sort of an archetype for, red-white humans, red-black humans, any of that kind of stuff in the limited format. So overall, just a really, really solid common to start out there.
A good limited, and obviously really good if you have a human constructed. With Innistrad rotating out of standard, you lose a lot of really good humans.
Yeah, although dang it, ever since they added the human type, there's never really been a shortage of humans in the game. I mean,
True.
If you just look at this set, half the creatures are freaking humans. They're human soldiers or human wizards or whatever, but they're all humans too. So, the weenie archetype generally has just sort of been dominated by humans for the most part. I mean, even goblins have been sort of on their way out, and there's no goblins in this set, obviously, too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, it's all about white weenie.
Yeah.
All right. Next on the list, are you ready to move on?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Great. Chain to the Rock.
Oh, Chain to the Rock. I actually love Chain to the Rocks, mostly because it's just a flavorful thing. Are you really? It requires a very specific red-white deck for it to work, and are you going to use it in constructed or limited very much? If you're in red-white, absolutely, but otherwise not so much.
Yeah.
But dang it, the idea that it goes on your mountain and you're literally taking one of your opponent's creatures and chaining him to the mountain.
Yeah.
The mechanics just speak for the flavor of the card so beautifully.
Yeah, the flavor is my favorite thing about this card. I think as mechanically, it's not bad. It's decent for 1 mana. I mean, what do you want? While you are locked into that red-white combo, still not bad. It's great and limited. I think it's not quite as good as, say, for at a rare slot, it's not quite as good as like a ring.
Yeah, but that's not something I would want to see it uncommon either. That's
No.
You just couldn't see that card at uncommon, unfortunately.
No, I don't think so.
Coming off of Ravnica and stuff, I mean, it's sort of the realm of being locked into 2 colors.
Anyway,
so,
not that big of a deal.
It's just treated as a red-white card, and it's very good removal for a red-white deck, Boros deck might be getting an upgrade here.
Yeah. Moving on?
Yeah, that's about all I got for that one.
Cool. Now, I have this on my list, but I know we're going to disagree about it.
Yeah, this
next
one wasn't on mine.
is Dauntless Onslaught, and I like it because it's just a flat +2/+2, which is just kind of a solid bump to 2 creatures, and I think with all the heroic going on in the set, especially the heroic white creatures, which I think are some of the best in the set, I think it's a good boost to those.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's nice just because it does 2 heroic triggers, and it's a nice little combat trick. At the same time, as I was saying earlier, it's just there's a cycle of these.
Right.
There's a cycle of uncommon instants, 1 in each color, and they all target up to 2 of your creatures. And I feel like this is just the weakest one, or one of the weakest ones in the set. It costs more than every one but the black one, I believe. It doesn't really do that much. It just gives a straight power boost, whereas all the other ones do something interesting with drawing you cards or disabling your opponent's things or giving your guys, first strike.
Right. Yeah.
It's just not as interesting to me as a lot of the other ones. So it didn't quite make my list. It's still it's still useful for those heroic triggers. And I mean, let's face it, you need ways to trigger those. That, but
yeah. I mean, I agree. It is definitely the most boring. At 3, it's not the most efficient. I think when we start talking about, I'm going to kind of jump back to this card when we start talking about.
I'll give it a gold star because it has Leonin in the art, and I like Leonin.
Oh,
so
little glimpse into the future.
Yeah,
maybe.
Well, maybe. I hope.
Where there are Leonin, there are Leonin planeswalkers.
Well,
we already know that.
Yes.
Moving on. Next is Elspeth.
I guess we'll move straight to Elspeth. All right. Yeah. Well, what is there to say about Elspeth? She's a
planeswalker.
She's a planeswalker, and
we
as
like
a result,
planeswalkers.
Yes, it's unless you're Tybalt, it's really hard to make like a not valuable planeswalker. I don't know. She does pretty much everything you would want your planeswalker to do. I mean, her +1 is she makes 3 1/1 soldiers, so she defends herself very, very well when she hits the board.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the best creature generating planeswalker abilities that I'm
totally.
aware. It's usually kind of Garrick's thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, she has other versions that pump out.
Soldiers,
but just one at a time.
Elspeth generally has had some sort of token generating ability.
Yeah.
So yeah, it fits with her past stuff. I also like that she has a board wipe.
She can use right away.
That she can right out the gate, and
it's targeted. It's
targeted. It's not great against honestly a lot of the things that you would like a board wipe for, but against the bigger stuff, against the mid ranges and stuff, it's
monstrous things like that.
It fits with Theros. It fits with the big monsters and stuff.
Yeah, well,
she's supposed to be wandering around Theros slaying monsters right now.
Sort of the two sides of the coin with a targeted board wipe is that you build your deck so that you plan on dropping her, and when the board wipe hits, you're going to be safe from most of it, and then your opponent's going to, while they may have some things slip through the cracks, for the most part, they're going to take.
Ideally
take the losses on that board wipe.
Once again, some weenie stuff. You probably want to run her as sort of a finisher in a weenie deck, because even her ultimate makes your weenies bigger and flying, which is. And still, if they're 1/1s, can dodge her board wipe, which is pretty cool.
Now, something that's just occurring to me about it is that she is actually not a very good fit with heroic.
No,
because pretty quick, you're going to be outdistancing. I mean, she doesn't add anything. I mean, it's not like she doesn't target.
With a lot of the white weenie heroics that give themselves 1/1 counters, then at least absolutely. There's other heroics that don't grow themselves, but she's not a great
for the
fit.
white ones.
Most of the white guys do give themselves 1/1 counters and stuff. So that's a good point.
So
I hadn't really thought of that.
But
Evangel.
Yep, I had it on my list, mostly because of limited. I think if you're already strong white, in your second or third pack, I think it's a great early pickup. I think it's right where it needs to be at uncommon. I would hate to see it at rare.
That would be painful. That would need to be much cheaper at rare or something.
Wizards has done worse. So.
I know, right? They've done worse in this set even.
But I like it. I mean, I've always been a big fan of the old, Hermit Druid, that kind of stuff. I know I don't want to jump ahead into blue, but I'm excited about things that, you have your little creatures that come into play and bring their little minions with them. I really
I think Devotion might be my favorite mechanic in the set. I really like the elegance of it, the way that it sort of pushes you into a monocolor, but is still very playable in multicolors, and it adds a very interesting dynamic to the set.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
And I like, it's a big old bomb if you're playing heavy white and limited. You make a bunch of soldier tokens, and I like it. You might want to get your head examined if you think that it's a bomb for constructed, but
probably not going to see much constructed.
I would be amazed.
I mean, I could see maybe some control, but then again, like if you're probably not playing a white control, and then you're hamstringing your Devotion.
If you're dropping 6 on a control deck, you want it to be a win condition.
Yeah, it's going to really change.
Or like a board wipe or something. That gives you some guys, but also control's not running that many permanents generally. Like you're running board wipes and defensive guys, you're probably not going to get that many tokens out of it in a control deck.
Works well with Elspeth.
Hey, what do you know?
There you go. Right.
Except that her tokens don't give you extra devotion, but
at least she won't kill your.
That's true. Yes,
kill your babies.
They're safe even if you have Elspeth's token.
Anyway, moving on, Fabled Hero. Awesome card.
I love this guy. He's
great.
I love aggressively costed double strikers. They might be my favorite thing in the game.
Yeah, I mean, what else do you want? It's 3 for a 2/2 double strike with a great heroic ability. I think this is. I'll just bring up Dauntless Onslaught again. I mean, less for him, more for the guy who's coming up a little bit later. But I mean, you throw it on him. Now he's 4/4. Now he's 5/5 with heroic double striking.
Yeah, I mean,
with one spell.
Yeah, you hit him with a Dauntless Onslaught. You hit him with almost any pump spell, and he's going to swing for like 10 if he's unblocked. It's a big deal. Double strikers are so dangerous, and that's probably why I like them so much.
Guy's pretty ridiculous at 3, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, I'd just like to take a moment and talk about what an utter badass this guy is. He's got like his 2 whip things, and his flavor text is "You, poet. Be sure to write this down."
Yeah.
It's thematic with the Greek thing, and it's just remarkably badass.
Just a really well done card.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole package there.
Right.
Can we talk about favorite hoplite actually? Because he was on my list, and I don't think he made yours.
No, he did not.
I just think he's a really solid. Again, White seems to be all about the weenies right now, but I think he's just a really solid. He's tricky. He's a 1/2 for 1, so he can trade with a lot of other 1-drops at the very least, and a lot of times survive against the 1/1 1-drops that you see pretty often. Although there's a lot of 2 1s-for-1s this set, so maybe discount that.
Yeah, no. They're really Wizards upping its game with the mana efficiency, at least at the 1 casting cost. I mean, it used to be
in colors that didn't normally get it too, which is sort of.
Yeah, I mean, White had it a little bit, but we're talking 2/2 for 1, but it was also legendary, or a 2/1 for 1, but there it had some kind of a drawback.
Yeah,
can't block or
Yeah, and I mean, this guy isn't even one of those, but he's a 1/2 for 1, which is fairly efficient. And then I like his heroic, not just because he gets the 1/1 counter, but because he also prevents all damage dealt to him that turn, and that just makes him super tricky. And there's a few, not to get into other colors too much, but there's a few things that let you untap your guys and stuff, and I just think he'd be a great little surprise flip around, where your opponent thinks they're going to get to trade, and then you have a pump spell that lets him kill something that he normally would have traded with or whatever. So
kill him.
I don't know. I think he's good. At least, especially, I'd pick him up in limited pretty easily if I was running a sort of white soldiery theme. And I might even consider him for a constructed weenie deck. I just think he's a solid 1-drop.
Yeah, he isn't bad.
Although I will say there are probably better choices for that in the set. So
no, but I mean, I like that. For 1 mana, you get a lot of diversity. I mean, really, in his heroic ability, it could have been a really flat +1/+1, and that would have still been a decent card.
I mean,
to prevent all damage that would be dealt to him this turn is just sort of like icing on the cake.
It is, and I mean, it sort of elevates him from just being a boring vanilla guy. I feel like somewhere in the design thing, they must have decided that just giving a 1/1 counter for heroic wasn't interesting enough. They had to have another ability, or they had to do something else with heroic, which is great because it makes the whole thing much more interesting.
Yeah, they've kind of done that other thing before.
Yeah.
Gift of Immortality. I almost missed this one, and somehow, and it's absolutely one of my favorite cards in the set. Let alone just in White.
Yeah, it seems right up your alley too. The kind of stuff you like to play.
I have big plans for Gift of Immortality.
I love it. Just when I was looking at preview art for the set when they first released a bunch of art, this was my favorite piece of preview art. Just it's gorgeous. It's got the clouds and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just praying to God that it was
a decent
cool
card
creature, a decent card, and it ended up being a really interesting one. I was expecting a creature, to be honest. And
it looks
gave this really interesting. I think its interaction with comes into play effects is really cool. It needs the right deck for it. I mean, it'd still be very useful and limited. Absolutely.
I think it can.
It's an all-around.
It's not a great weenie, white weenie.
Not
card
so much, but
necessarily, but just about any other.
Like we were talking about frickin' the Evangel earlier. That I stick that on that guy and just get him to die. Chump block with him or whatever, and then he comes back, and you get more soldiers.
Every time.
Just like
that's great.
The stuff that this can do with comes into play effects is really cool, especially if you build around it a little bit. So very, very cool.
Yeah, if you plan for that, and then it's just if you want something to stick around, put it on your double striker, and force them to either take the damage, chump, or if. What's the point in killing it off? It's just coming back. So
totally, yeah.
But I mean, it has a little bit of a workaround, but it's tough.
Yeah, and I mean,
you gotta kill it twice in the same turn.
Yeah, kill it twice or kill the enchantment, obviously.
Yeah.
There is a higher amount of enchantment removal than normal,
which is good
because it's an enchantment block.
Right.
Just like there was a lot of artifact removal in the artifact block.
Right.
Makes sense.
Makes sense. Good balance.
Yeah.
Here we go. Moving on.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think we really need to talk about that. That wasn't on one of mine.
No.
But, Glare of Heresy, if you're curious. Just because I find the cycle of self-hate things that destroy things of their colors and do stuff to hurt the color that they're in really funny. But not super playable. Maybe sideboard if a color becomes really dominant. But maybe sideboard in draft where your entire pool is your sideboard. You can slot those in against your opponent's second game in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So that's probably about all I'll use them for. But they're hilarious to me. So
yeah, no, it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's always nice to have some different stuff from Wizards, even if it isn't.
Yeah, no, I just
overly good. You got to have the good and the bad.
Yeah,
makes an interesting set. Well, here we go. We've come to our first god.
Heliod.
Yes. Like all the gods, I mean, casting costs. He's a big creature, 5/6 for 4.
He is,
as long as you have your devotion up.
Otherwise, he's kind of not that great enchantment. Like,
he's all right.
He's all right. He's like. He really reminds me of Mobilization, except that he works for things other than soldiers, and the things he makes are more expensive.
Let's see. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I can't think of give all your creatures vigilance, artifact or enchantment, and like sort of the costs involved there. I would assume that it would cost at least 3.
Mobilization? Or what are we talking about?
Any enchantment that would give.
Oh, yeah. It's
give all your creatures
You'd probably get him, 3. Mobilization costs 2 and a white, but that's not a good... We'll get away from mobilization now. He's very good. He's very well costed because he has the potential to move into a creature. Honestly, maybe I just can't get over my disappointment because I was really looking forward to him ever since I saw the first...
He was the promo,
The first piece of teaser art for Theros was this guy, and I just had such high hopes for him. And I found out what the god mechanics were, and I got really excited because I freaking love the not always a creature unless you have enough devotion to them, unless your creatures believe in them enough that they can manifest.
Right.
Like that's just freaking cool. That's a flavor home run. And then Heliod was revealed, and it was just kind of like, oh, that's all he does. He's still cool. He's still a god, but compared to what some of the other gods do, he's kind of a snooze job.
Yeah, it's a little rough for 2/1.
God, I wish he made those clerics for 3. I really do. Or that the clerics were just a little bigger or something.
Tough. It's decent. It's solid.
Still,
I like it.
He could be a 5/6 for 4, especially if you have that devotion. The turn after he comes out or whatever. Like that's great, and I acknowledge that. And obviously, take him if you open him in your pack in draft because he's a freaking god.
And in limited, sure, it's great. It's always nice to be able to pump out more creatures. But
dang it!
But I don't have any plans for him. Like I can't.
Constructed, no. I honestly just. There's other gods that I see potential for, but this guy, I just...
I could see building a deck around him. I just don't have any... he just doesn't build up any excitement to like, I got to use this guy.
He's just not interesting enough.
That's unfortunate.
And I don't know. So
if you got your cleric-themed deck, there you go. Now you've got a spot for him.
I guess so.
Or your... if you're going to produce infinite mana, then... Infinite White, there you go. There's a finally there's a replacement for Sacred Mesa. And there you have it.
Because there weren't other ones.
No, because there were no other ones.
No,
there were
none.
Other ones.
None in existence.
All right, moving on. 100-handed one.
There's another flavor home run for you.
Right.
Oh man. This is another guy that I just think is hilarious, and he's actually pretty good this time too, instead of just being something that I think is hilarious.
Right. Good flavor, great art, and cost-wise, if he's not monstrous, then
3/5 vigilance for 4 is not bad.
Not bad,
especially
not
in
bad.
limited. I think this guy's actually pretty bomby in limited, especially if you can get the 6 to monstrosity him, then he just still block your opponent's weenies all day, and it's and there I go using that phrase and. Told myself I wouldn't do that once we started rolling, and there we go.
Bombing your weenies.
Yes. Bombing my weenies, blocking weenies all day. You heard it here first.
Now, I have nicknamed the
100 hand job one. What? No, I didn't say that.
Who's the cock blocker?
This is a family show.
The weenie cock blocker. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
I could see him in a devotion deck. You know, if you're already, I mean,
he's
with his
good.
with
He's
his
got,
monstrosity cost,
and he throws a
heavy
double.
white.
He throws a double devotion in there, and
Yeah.
you're running. Yeah, if you're running white devotion, pretty good, and he's just a great blocker. I mean,
yeah. I mean, he'll just, he'll
know,
save you from,
and the idea that he
a big
blocks
rush.
exactly 100 guys because he has 100 hands. I just
It
love
is huge, hilarious.
It's hilarious.
Phalanx Leader is what I have next. Do you have anything before that?
Well, yeah, let's talk a little bit about. Actually, go back up here. Let's talk about Hopeful Eidolon.
Okay.
Because it's sort of a boring little 1/1 guy, but we haven't really talked about Bestow very much.
No, sure, we
and
can
I
go over
actually
that.
think, as far as Bestow goes, there's the rare guy, the rare promo guy that is a pretty solid Bestow guy, but I think. From a limited perspective, especially, I think this guy is really solid just because lifelink is very strong. It's 4. It turns on your heroic guys when you hit him with it. I think he's pretty good, and he's also in a pinch. He's a 1/1 lifelinker for 1, so he's not at least a vanilla 1/1 guy. He's not the greatest. I don't know.
I am going to respectfully disagree. I couldn't be. I don't know. I don't like Bestow. I want to like Bestow. I want to like it so much.
I can understand why you don't because it's generally very highly costed.
It's too for me. It's too highly costed. Like lifelink is a 1 white to to enchantment to give something lifelink, and plus getting +1/+1 is it's just not it's not for 4, and the fact that the creature dies.
Well, I'd be using it to trigger heroic
You
too,
get this. You get this 1/1. Well, I don't know how much of the cost of this card can be worked into. What it can potentially be used for heroic. Yeah, but that's the reason to make it 4 mana? I don't think you can.
Well,
you can take it with the other cards.
Yeah, I appreciate Bestow is generally, it doesn't look very attractive at first just because everything costs so much. What I always have to try and remind myself, because I think it's really easy to forget, is that Bestow is there sort of as a pseudo card advantage thing, or at least it negates the card disadvantage that comes from using auras most of the time. Because generally, auras just are asking for you to get 2 for 1 or more. And that sort of eliminates that by, at least if your aura guy gets blasted, you don't just lose 2 cards, you still get the creature out of it. And I don't know, I think that's being underestimated right now quite a bit. It's still yes, Bestow probably isn't one of the stronger mechanics in the set, but I still think there's a lot of potential there. And yes, he's probably not the best bestower, but I think
potentially yes. I just don't think I just haven't seen a creature that I was like, oh man, this is the Bestow creature that I've been waiting for. I think at common, I don't hate him, but I still think I don't really care that if I want to play him early, I don't care about a 1/1 lifelinker. I mean, chump block that and get that 1 life. I don't think that's making a difference. He doesn't have any other abilities on him. You bestow him, somebody wipes the board, or somebody blows up your creature with +1/+1 lifelink. You get that 1/1 lifelinker. I don't think I'm in any better shape.
Yeah.
I mean, I could kind of see it in limited, but if I'm already playing white, I'll grab him. I'll do it. I'll use it to give my creature lifelink late game because I'm going to have the mana.
Yeah, no, don't pick him early by any means.
But
I just think that you would be able to include that guy in a deck. I think he's
Yeah, I'm not super impressed. I would.
Fair enough. Of the Eidolon cycle, I think he's one of the better ones. I think the blue one might be slightly. No, of the Eidolons, I think he's the best. Not the nymphs, but
Ben.
yeah.
Yeah. It makes me afraid for the Eidolons.
Well, we probably won't even talk about the other ones because they're that bad.
All right. Next we have Phalanx Leader.
Yeah, let's talk about the Phalanx Leader.
Cool.
Yeah.
This is kind of one of those great heroic creatures.
Yeah, this is just
devotion. Double white. It powers it. I mean, double white for a 1/1. That's not great, but he's got such a good ability. He's going to blow up so fast.
I mean, yeah, if you're playing him the way you should be playing him, he won't be a 1/1 for very long, and neither will any of your other creatures. Right. It's another just play white weenie.
Right. I mean, I'll harken back to Dauntless Onslaught. Again, it's generic, but if you're playing, if you want to play White Devotion, I mean, Phalanx Leader is going to pump your Devotion, and you drop that Dauntless Onslaught on a Phalanx Leader, and
in mono
and
white,
your Fable Hero at the same time. I mean, they're both going to just blow up.
Yeah, totally. I think he's great.
He can swing for 4, which means he'll probably survive, his first combat, and after that, I mean, his survival is going to just go up from there.
Absolutely.
But, I don't know if there's a whole lot else to say.
I also just, that's great.
Cool.
Yeah, pretty
Not
cool.
bad, not bad.
Not my favorite, but yeah, I like it quite a bit.
Yeah.
He looks sufficiently badass. Let's talk about Ordeal of Heliod a little bit.
Okay, sure.
So I think this is my least favorite of the ordeals.
Okay.
Just because I don't like life gain very much. Life gain's always this thing. It's like, yes, it's handy, it keeps you alive and stuff, but it doesn't really help you win the game. It's just sort of like, if your opponent's steamrolling you, it's just going to take them slightly longer to roll over you. Whereas if you're already winning, then you probably don't need the life gain, and it just sort of like gives you peace of mind or something. Mm-hmm. It's still nice because it's an ordeal. It targets your guys. It makes your guys bigger. But I feel like of the ordeal effects, the life gain, even though it's 10 life, it's a big chunk of life, kind of negligible.
I pretty much agree with that. I will say that if you're in a race to the finish, I can see it being. I can see it making a difference. I mean, 10 life is half your starting life, so
it is.
I could see it in the right situation making the difference. I mean,
yes.
I've been kind of out of the standard game for a little while, so I'm not sure. I mean, the Boros is still pretty heavy. Mid range is still pretty heavy. So, I mean, I guess I could see maybe if your game is I don't block, I just attack. I'm just all about playing like Boros, red deck wins style, just rush your opponent. Maybe this is enough of a boost that you feel like, okay, my creature's getting bigger and bigger as it goes.
Yeah,
but,
my thing is, I agree. Ordeals are good. Yeah, ordeals with the 1/1 counters are good and stuff. I'm just saying, you're not talking about the life gain like barely at all.
I think that in that situation, it could work, because if you're throwing everything at your opponent and you're not caring about your own life, maybe that's the 10 life is what puts you over the top every time. It's like it's a race.
So
it's always right down to the wire,
little,
right down to the wire.
Makes it
with ordeal. Maybe I
for a more aggressive.
Yeah, maybe I pull off a few more wins. But I agree with you.
It's
not my. It's not.
I guess
the most
you're in white, but
one.
I'd rather run the red one and just shock somebody's face or something. But
yeah, I agree with that. All right. Let's see. Let's finish this off here. We've only got a couple more we want to go off.
Yep, I think we're moving down.
Want to go over?
Yeah, let's talk about Soldier of the Pantheon a little bit.
We talked about this kind of one casting cost for a super efficient creature. I think this guy is crazy.
He's almost
for like, 1 white.
He's almost strict. He's basically, maybe not strictly, never used strictly, but I think in a lot of ways he's much better than just the vanilla, Elite Vanguard or whatever, and a lot of the other 2/1s for 1s that we've seen in white.
He's
especially coming off of Ravnica block where multicolor is everywhere. Like, this guy just hoses it, and I love it.
Yeah, he could be really good in constructed. I think he might be really good in certain limited formats. I mean, maybe not in this block because you're not going to see a lot of gold, but I mean, if it comes right down to it, he's a 2/1 for 1.
I can't
with a couple of abilities like
the 2 power for 1 mana can't be understated in an aggressive deck, especially like just getting that 2 power swinging by turn 2 is so important.
Couple him with Phalanx Leader, and he's big and dangerous really fast.
He's another just great little white soldier guy, and the protection for multicolored is sort of just icing.
Awesome. So the last one I have on my list, and if you have any more, we can go over those as well.
I think this is about the last one.
Is again the legendary enchantment artifact, the Spear.
Yes, which
Heliod.
As disappointed as I was in Heliod, I very much like the Spear.
Yeah.
So it's great. It costs the same as a Glorious Anthem, gives you a Glorious Anthem, and also has another effect. I mean, what's not to love?
Yeah. No, and a good effect. It's
it lets you
punish your
opponents for hitting you.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Plus, it looks really, really cool.
Yeah, it's great art.
And can apparently strike anywhere on the plane of Theros. So,
Thank you, Zeus.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I mean Heliod.
There's no lightning here. It's all sunlight.
Well, so that's all I've got. Is anything else you want to talk about?
I think that pretty much covers it for white. Oh, let's talk about Yoked Ox.
Can we? For a while?
I don't know if we can. But the dude's yoked.
Just 0/4 for 1.
Yeah.
Get it.
I will. And I'll put an ordeal on it and swing at you all day. And then he'll be a 3/7.
Come for me.
Yeah. And then my ordeal will pop, and you won't be able to do a damn thing.
So that about wraps up
Draft
our...
yoke docs.
That about wraps up our highlights from Theros, where we covered white. Thanks for watching.